Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi again. Thanks for coming out on such a beautiful day. So, I'm Jenny Goodemo, and this is
Carrie Magnan.
yes.
Nice,
And
nice to see you all.
actually, I have a question for all of you. I want to know how many people are familiar with this case. Oh, all right. You guys are in for a treat tonight because I didn't realize how crazy it was until I started really digging into it. And I have 12 pages of notes here, and I promise not to keep you all night.
We do close at 9 o'clock, just a
So-
heads up. Yeah, okay.
But if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to. There's going to be plenty of questions. I know that. All right, so let's get started. The pizza bomber, also known as the collar bomb case. And so this takes place in Erie, Pennsylvania, August 28th, 2003. Just after 1:30 p.m., a call comes into Mamma Mia's Pizzeria for a pizza delivery. The owner, who can't understand the caller, hands the phone over to Brian Wells, a longtime pizza delivery driver, who writes down the delivery address. The 2 pepperoni pizzas were to be delivered to 8631 Peach Street, an address just a few miles from the pizzeria. So 2:20, Brian Wells calmly walks into the PNC Bank with a cane, something hanging from his neck, and a white t-shirt with the word guests written on it. He waits his turn in line and slides a note to the teller demanding $250,000. The note stated that the bomb would explode in 15 minutes and that the full amount would be handed over within that time, or that the full amount should be handed over in that time. The manager was out to lunch, and the teller asked Wells to wait another 20 minutes. To which he responded that he didn't have that much time. Because the teller was unable to access the vault, she gave Wells a bag containing $8,702, with which he exited the bank, swinging a cane and a bag full of money and sucking on a lollipop from the bowl on the counter. According to witnesses, he appeared confident, and he reminded them of Charlie Chaplin. Just the way he was acting.
Yeah.
He was swinging.
Yeah.
He was swinging the cane. He had the bag of money. He leisurely grabbed a sucker from the counter. 2:32 p.m. A witness calls 911 from the bank and reported a male leaving the bank with a bomb or something wrapped around his neck. This is the first known emergency call of the incident.
That came from somebody in the bank? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Romney Wells then went to McDonald's, which was right next door, but he didn't make it that far. He only made it a few hundred feet before he was apprehended. Police arrested him when he was standing outside of his vehicle near a place called Eyeglass World. He was handcuffed and sitting on the ground in the parking lot. Wells said 3 unnamed black men had placed a bomb around his neck, provided him with the cane shotgun, so the cane was actually a shotgun, and told him they would kill him unless he committed the robbery and completed several other tasks. The responding officers did not attempt to disarm the device, instead focusing on clearing the immediate area of pedestrians and ensuring Wells could not detonate the device.
Was the cane really a shotgun?
Yes.
Okay, it really did.
Yeah.
It would fire.
Yes.
Interesting.
The bomb squad was first called at 3:04 p.m., at least 30 minutes after the first 911 call from the bank, and about 10 minutes after Wells was arrested. So at 3:18, 3 minutes before the bomb squad arrived, the bomb detonated and blasted a fist-sized hole in Wells' chest, killing him in seconds. Traffic congestion in the area delayed the bomb squad's arrival, but personnel from the ATF still considered their response appropriately quick. This entire event, except for the moment the bomb actually detonated, was broadcast on live TV via local news stations, including a Buffalo ABC News affiliate, which is where I personally saw it, and I remember it till this day. So the investigation. The notes. So these are layers and layers of notes that were all written by the conspirators to various individuals. So inside Wells' car, police found 9 pages of handwritten instructions addressed to bomb hostage, directing him to rob the bank. The instructions also included a scavenger hunt, listing a series of strictly timed tasks of collecting keys that would delay detonation and eventually defuse the bomb. The pages warned that Wells would be under constant surveillance, and any attempts to contact authorities would result in the bomb's detonation. Also found were notes addressed to the bank manager, bank teller, receptionists, other bank workers, police. So I want to share with you some of the notes, not all, because that would take forever. So this one is to the bomb hostage. Step 1, proceed now. 1, take the following demands to PNC Bank and get $250,000. Instruct bank managers to help or else everyone will be killed. Enforce demands with your weapon and bomb. 2, put $250,000 in black garbage bag, leave your driver's license at the bank, and promise to return. Then return money to us by following a course of instructions. You will receive further instructions as you proceed. Do not leave bank without money or you will die. Carry out money in the trash bag and follow instructions. Stay close to bank manager or employees at all time during robbery. Bring yellow striped copies with you. You must bring weapon with you. Exit the bank with the money and go to the McDonald's restaurant. Get out of car and go to the small sign reading drive-through, open 24 hours. In the flower bed by the sign, there is a rock with a note taped to the bottom. It has your next instructions. So then it goes on from there.
So this is very detailed.
Yes.
Right.
That's actually the one I was reading right there in the middle of the McDonald's.
Yeah.
But it just goes on and on. The notes appear to have been typed on a typewriter and then traced over to make matching handwriting difficult. So that's what it looks like, a typewriter, but really it's just been traced over by hand.
Okay, so they typed it and then traced.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Why would they? I wonder what it is.
Yeah. Police also located the most recent scavenger hunt note that Wells found before he was apprehended by police. Using this note as their guide, several officers followed its instructions to continue to gather clues. So, number 1 here is the pizza delivery site. That's the TV radio tower that Brian went to, or Wells went to. Next here is the bank itself. 3, here's the McDonald's. 4, this is where Wells is stopped by police. And then these were the others that he was to go to.
How far was the pizza site from the bank? Was it nearby?
You mean the radio TVs?
Yeah.
So 1 is right here. That's the TV radio tower. And then 2 is just, looks like it's just right
How did he get there? Did he walk?
He had a car. So he's a pizza delivery.
Oh, because
he was driving.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, did you?
So he's delivering pizzas.
Yes. That was his job.
Okay.
So then the next site included a note inside a coffee can close to a stoplight warning sign, followed by another site that took officers to interchange road to 79 South, right over here near the McKeon Township exit. There was orange tape next to a tree with the word Vietnam written on it. At this location, officers noticed a minivan approaching with occupants who seemed surprised. They immediately backed up and left. They were able to catch up to them. And then when officers timed themselves running the course, they determined there was never enough time allotted for Wells to find all the clues to free him from the bomb. Keys for the device were never found. So we have FBI agent Jerry Clark, who took over the investigation, ATF agent Jason Wick, and then Pennsylvania State Trooper David Galuth. Those are the 3 names that I'm going to refer to. So then we have the bombs itself. The color of the bomb was still intact after it detonated, so authorities were faced with a dilemma. There were fears of secondary explosions, as well as concerns of destroying evidence when removing it from Wells' body. Maybe see where I'm going with this. It was determined that the best way to safely remove the device from Wells while preserving the evidence was by surgically decapitating him. After a closer examination of the bomb, it was determined that the bomb would never have been defused in time by the ATF team. The bomb used in the killing consisted of a hinged collar that worked like a large handcuff to go around the neck, 4 keyholes that went under the chin, and a rectangular housing containing 2 pipe bombs and 2 kitchen timers. 1 electronic timer hung down over the chest. It had a back plate to create shrapnel. The device had several decoys, such as unconnected wires, a toy cell phone, and stickers bearing deceptive warnings. The case and collar components would have taken close to a month to assemble. There was no way to add more time or detonate via remote, as stated in the notes.
So when the bomb was placed on him, he had a certain amount of time to get these things done? Okay.
55 minutes. Okay. Exact.
And there was like a counter on it?
It was a kitchen timer. So
it was like counting on. Yeah, okay.
There was no way to extend it. All right, so I apologize for this picture that has a watermark on it. I couldn't find a picture of his apartment. So sorry about that. So immediately after his death, investigators searched the house and found a list of people he knew, including 2 sex workers unknown to other members of his family, but no evidence of bomb making was found there. Brian Wells rented a cottage behind Linda Payne's house for the last 5 years. He always paid his rent on time. He lived a quiet life with few possessions. There he lived with his 3 cats. He enjoyed music, crossword puzzles, and scavenger hunts. He went to his mother's for weekly steak dinners and occasionally took her and a friend to the movies. He was a high school dropout who tried his hand at being a mechanic, but didn't last. He eventually became a pizza delivery driver and worked at Mamma Mia's. 1 week before he died, he paid Linda Payne back for money she loaned him to fix his car so he wouldn't be out of a job. He had gotten in an accident with it. So that's a little bit about Brian. And there he is. There's Brian Wells.
Yeah.
Where I got this picture from, it's actually his driver's license photo.
Yeah, I remember.
It looks more like a mugshot, but it's actually his driver's license.
He looks cross-eyed.
All right, this is where things. If you didn't think things got interesting, find
already
out like
interesting,
we're
yeah.
going down this
Yeah,
crazy
rabbit hole. Yeah.
Okay, now we have another death.
Oh.
August 31st, 2003. 3 days after death, his co-worker at Mamma Mia's and its only other delivery driver, 43-year-old Robert Panetti, was found dead in his home after suffering a drug overdose. Panetti refused medical assistance on the day he died and that was at 5 a.m. And then his family found him unresponsive a few hours later. He had struggled for years with substance abuse. Toxicology reports indicated there was methadone and Valium-like drugs in his system. Police took a closer look at his death because of his link to the pizzeria in Wells. Further results show that Panetti had overdosed on methadone and antidepressants mixed with cold medicine. Police attempted to interview him a few days after the Wells incident, but he was not ready to talk. He asked to move the meeting to the following Monday. He seemed nervous and was worried that the masterminds behind the crime were going to come for him next. Then we have September 8th, 2003. If you remember, Brian Wells had said something about 3 unarmed black men putting this bomb collar on him. So investigators pursue the lead about the black men by searching the Erie apartment of a black man whose girlfriend said she knew Wells. So there was a girl who had a black boyfriend.
Okay.
And so the police decided to check out his house.
Okay.
The man was never charged. Police also released 2 sketches of potential suspects acting suspiciously around the time of Wells' death, provided by witnesses. One saw a suspicious person trying to cross a busy road with a backpack. The other was running away from a wooded area, and Wells was supposed to stop at an area close to where these 2 men were seen. So they thought maybe they were linked.
They were connected
to the
somehow.
crime. Yes. Another death.
Here we go. Okay.
September 20th, 2003. Goes.
So this is 2 weeks later.
Yep, or about that,
Yeah.
yeah. Bill Rothstein, I think is how it's pronounced. So, who actually lived near the TV tower, called police to inform them that the body of a man, James Roden, right here on the screen, was hidden in a freezer in a garage at his house.
Oh my God. He was in the freezer.
Yikes. After he phoned police, Rothstein wrote a suicide note indicating his planned death. He wrote a suicide note indicating his planned death had nothing to do with Wells. So he just had to make sure he put in there.
Yeah.
This, don't worry.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah,
it was not anyway related.
don't worry.
to-
Okay.
Not
So
suspicious.
that already sounds
That's not
strange.
suspicious.
So who was James Roden? So he had been living with his girlfriend of 10 years, Marjorie Deal Armstrong. So Marjorie is a very important character in this entire story. In custody, Rothstein said to police, this is the first thing he says to police when they come into the room to interview him.
About the
Like,
call that he made.
The very
about
first
the,
statement out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something right off the top. I'm the smartest guy in this room.
Okay.
He claimed Marjorie had murdered her then boyfriend, Roden, with a 12-gauge shotgun during a dispute over money. Rothstein said she subsequently paid him $2,000 to help hide the body, destroy the gun, and clean the crime scene at her house. He and Marjorie cleaned and refurbished his apartment, removed Roden's mattress and box spring to his garage. I don't know why you'd want to keep that.
Yeah.
And dumped the flooring, headboard, and footboard and anything else covered in blood at a local landfill. His last trip to the dump was on September 13th, where he also disposed of 1,040 pounds of debris from his personal storage unit,
What was in
including
it?
copper wiring and other
Mm.
things related to his past electrical business. He claimed to have no
Suspicious.
knowledge of the murder, of James Roden murder, because she just called him for his help and he obliged. She then wanted him to remove Roden's body from the freezer, so then they had put it in the freezer after he was shot and killed.
And
they
put it in the freezer.
put it in the freezer.
Okay. Like a spare freezer they had.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then Marjorie wanted Rothstein to remove Roden's body from the freezer and either use a wood chipper or an ice grinder
Oh my gosh.
one gun to discard the body.
Because
once
he's
and for all.
frozen. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Frozen Roden.
Oh my God.
That's when Rothstein refused to help her any further and called the police after contemplating suicide.
Okay. So he calls them because of this whole thing.
Because he doesn't want to. He doesn't
yeah.
want to chop the body up. He's
Okay.
okay with keeping the body in the freezer. in
Right,
his
but
garage,
that's just too much. for
yeah,
him.
that's too much. So Rothstein purposely mentions in his suicide note and during police questioning, so he also says this to the police, that this murder has nothing to do with the Wells case.
Why? Yeah, that's okay. That's
Investigators never believed he intended to commit suicide. They think it was just an act. But because of the close proximity to the TV tower site, the police are suspicious. There she is.
Gentleness. I no wonder he died.
So let's two characters for a moment. We have Marjorie Deal Armstrong, who you're seeing right on your screen. Then we'll get to Bill Rothstein.
Wow.
So Marjorie was born on February 26, 1949. She was considered to be a musical prodigy, an exceptional student.
What did she play?
I don't know.
She's just
Don't know.
musical.
She was just musical.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even answer to that. But she was actually, so I will say, she was attractive when she was younger. And people believe she was able to manipulate men because of it. I don't have any picture. I should have picked like a nicer
And it's-
picture for Marjorie. And
I'm
I
guessing that's her mugshot.
Yeah, that like I don't think that's her
Yeah.
driver's license.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because
Oh, so she was valedictorian of her high school class.
no kidding.
Then went on to earn a master's degree in education.
Huh.
She was admired for her beauty when she was younger.
Huh.
And by her mid-20s, she was diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses, including bipolar disorder, which caused hoarding and incessant talking. She couldn't stop talking. She had a close relationship with her parents, who helped her buy houses and land when she couldn't hold down a job. She believed her parents had saved up close to $1 million, and her father had started to give it to friends and neighbors after her mother's death in 2000. So her father at this point is the only one that's still alive. Her parents stopped giving her money long before, after she got caught up in some legal troubles. So really quickly about Bill, in the 1970s, she met Bill Rothstein when she was in school. At one point, they got engaged, but that only lasted for 9 months. They lived together with Rothstein's parents. No one knows why they split, since Marjorie will give many reasons in the years to follow, but she mentioned she couldn't get over the fact that he was Jewish. Rothstein was still obsessed with her even after the breakup. All right, so let's talk about some of Marjorie's legal troubles.
Yeah, let's do that.
In April of 1980, while working in an abortion clinic, she told an undercover police officer that she was pregnant. She told the undercover police officer that
Why
the
was she
police
talking?
officer was
Yeah.
pregnant.
Oh, okay. So she
And-
told the police officer was pregnant.
Yes.
Okay.
And that she would need to pay $150 for an abortion.
Okay.
There was one problem. The urine sample came from a male officer. She was charged with conspiracy and attempted theft by deception and was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 6 years of community service. So then we have 1984.
Okay.
She shot her boyfriend, Robert Thomas, 6 times as he laid on the couch, but was acquitted on claims of self-defense, and she was claiming abuse. So she took $18,000 in a bag over to her friend's house and offered her friend, and I don't know why she takes $18,000 over, but then she offers her friend $25,000. Don't ask me the
Okay.
discrepancy, but she offers her friend $25,000.
Maybe that was a down payment or something.
Maybe. So she offers her friend $25,000 to get rid of Thomas's body. So the
And
guy
Thomas
that
was the guy she did.
Yeah, her then
shot
boyfriend.
6 times. Okay.
she offered the friend's sister money if she helped too.
Everybody's in on the
No
action.
margin, you're making money here.
Jeez.
They promptly went to the police, and Marjorie was arrested, and the bond was revoked when she tried to arrange for someone to kill the two girls.
Oh my gosh.
She was determined to be too mentally incompetent to stand trial until 1988.
She sounds like she might be.
There she admitted to shooting Thomas in self-defense and claimed that he had physically and sexually abused her. She purchased the gun, the murder weapon, 5 days before the murder as a birthday present for him. She was acquitted of murder, but sentenced to 15 months probation for carrying a gun without a license. So she got away with this defense.
So she kills this first boyfriend.
Yes,
Yeah.
Robert Thomas.
Robert Thomas.
But we are not done with Marjorie yet. So in the early 1990s, she marries Richard Armstrong, even after she accused him of threatening to kill her. So because of that, he was sentenced to 1 month in prison. Then after he got out, they got married. So before their 2-year anniversary, he died of a brain hemorrhage.
Oh.
But there is some funny stuff
Okay.
too. But I didn't really get into that. Supposedly he thought it was healthy to drink bleach a little bit every day.
Okay.
Anyway, Marjorie filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the hospital and settled for $175,000.
Oh my gosh. The hospital paid her?
Yeah.
Wow.
For wrongful death. He was actually he was going to be released when she went to go pick him up, and then he fell and had a brain hemorrhage right there in the hospital.
Oh, okay. I wonder if the bleach had anything to do.
Then healthy.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, so Bill. Okay. This is Bill Rothstein. So this was her first. Remember, she was engaged. He's also the man who ratted her out about, yes, James Roden in the freezer.
And told the police he was the smartest person in the room.
Yes.
Is that him?
That's
okay.
him.
That's him.
That's his bib overall. Free.
I love it. All it.
All right. So he was born on January 17th, 1944. His parents owned a local bottling company, which bottled the regionally famous Rolla-Cola in Erie, Pennsylvania, which made them a wealthy family. Rothstein dropped out of college to help with his parents' business. He participated in amateur radio and community radio and started the Tall Club, where a man or woman had to be at least 6 foot 2 inches tall to join, and met for lunch to discuss the world's problems. Rothstein dated Marjorie, like I said, in the late 1960s, early 1970s. He was
in love with her.
Yes.
And were they engaged? Did
Yes.
you say? Or, okay.
Yes, and after 9 months, they broke it.
They broke it off. Okay.
But he doesn't have a clean record either.
No kidding. I don't think any of these people.
So it's quite the cast of
characters.
He was implicated in the 1977 murder after he gave a
What's the
handgun to a...
difference?
Come on. Sorry. So he gave a handgun to a friend who used it to murder a romantic rival.
What is up with these people?
I don't. They're throwing murdering. He later attempted to destroy the weapon, but was granted immunity from prosecution in exchange for his testimony. Rothstein lived rent-free in his childhood home ever since his parents died. His siblings wanted to sell the house, but Rothstein didn't want to move. I don't know.
Did he kill him?
No. So he was the executor of the estate. He told his siblings he put the house on the market for $190,000, but he really listed it for $250,000. Does the $250,000 amount sound familiar?
That does
to
sound
anybody?
familiar. Yes.
Just saying.
Yes.
Rothstein was a handyman and part-time shop teacher and was part of a group called the Fractured Intellectuals. So this is aside from the, what is it? He's in the Tall Club. He's a member of the Tall Club. He's a member of the Fractured Intellectuals. And these were intelligent people who were not well adjusted. They consider themselves geniuses.
This person in the room.
He's the smartest person in the room. Although he keeps mentioning in his suicide note that it has nothing to do with the Wells case. But of course, don't look elsewhere. Okay. Anyway, so now that you have a little insight into these two, we can move on and continue where we left off. Do you remember where we left off?
No, anybody?
James Roden's murder. The guy who was in the drugs. Actually, we're not going to look at Floyd Stockton yet. Let's go back. Okay. You don't need to see him yet. Just when you thought the cast of characters would come to an end, it just keeps going. Okay. September 21st, 2003. Erie police charged Marjorie in Roden's death, alleging she fatally shot him at her East 7th Street house in Erie sometime before August 28th, and then helped move the body to Rothstein's Upper Peach Street house. Marjorie accused Rothstein of killing Roden, so she's pointing the finger right back at him.
He says she did.
Yeah.
She says
So he was the one that initially called the police.
right over because he didn't want to put him in the wood chipper.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Or ice
Or the ice.
chipper.
Yeah.
Chipping.
Yeah.
Okay, so Roden, who took 3 days to thaw out,
Oh my god.
was determined to
Oh my gosh.
have died from a shotgun blast 3 weeks earlier.
Was this the same shotgun that she used to kill her first?
No, I don't think so.
Different
I'm
shotgun.
guessing this is locked up as evidence. I don't know.
What different shotgun?
Was the birthday present?
Yeah.
Happy anniversary, Annie. Here's a shotgun.
Okay,
Sorry.
September 24th, 2003. Police and federal agents questioned Rothstein about the Wells case. He said he may have used the payphone that was the source of the final call to Wells,
Oh, come on.
but he also passed a lie detector test. He was free on bail because he was cooperating with investigators. He took them on a tour of his and Marjorie's homes. So let me also share with you his suicide note. Remember the suicide? This is just a portion of it. Police, 1, this has nothing to do with the Wells case. 2, the body in the freezer in the garage is Jim Roden. 3, it did not kill him nor participate in his death. Does that listing of numbers, numerical numbers, sound familiar?
Oh, is that how it was on?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. Then we're talking about the Wells case, but in the other notes to the bank manager, the teller, bomb
Yeah.
hostage,
Yeah.
he lays it all out
Yeah.
with numbers.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3, and
Yeah.
keeps going. He
Like,
just-
why start off? Well, this has nothing to do with the Wells case. Like, why start off?
he wants them to worry about it.
But that's weird. But that seems suspicious.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, so initially the FBI cleared him, believe it or not, but state and local authorities did not. So January 20th, 2004, Marjorie was ordered to stand trial for Roden's homicide and for aggravated assault, abuse of the corpse, and tampering with evidence. Rothstein testified against her and accepted a plea deal for a few years in prison on the charge of the abuse of a corpse.
Yeah.
He was allowed to stay out on bail until his sentencing. When Marjorie was asked what she thought, she said that Rothstein should be charged in the death of Brian Wells and a lot of other charges, and he had a fugitive rapist at his house for the last few years.
What? Come on.
Mid-March 2004, Marjorie, who suffered from a bipolar disorder, was transferred from the Erie County Prison to Mayview State Hospital near Pittsburgh for a long-term psychiatric evaluation in the Roden case. So she was off limits to investigators while at Mayview because of her mental state. Gotcha. So who is this fugitive rapist Marjorie alluded to? All right, so now let's go look at Floyd Stockton. So Rothstein had a roommate named Floyd Stockton who was wanted for a rape charge in Washington. He was arrested on September 21st on a fugitive from justice charge. He grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, spent most of his life in jail. He stole a car, among other things, and he also moved around a lot. He met Bill Rothstein when he got out of prison at Rollicola, where Rothstein helped to get him a job, hopefully trying to keep him out of jail.
Was he in the tall club too, or was
I don't know that. I don't know if he was a fractured intellectual.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
But he doesn't look well adjusted. Okay with him. All right. So July 30th, 2004, Rothstein, 60 years old, dies of cancer. He died of cancer, the guy with the big overalls.
Yeah.
And the one that initially called about James Roden. He said nothing about the Wells case to investigators who questioned him on his deathbed.
I was just going to ask you that.
He knew he had cancer when Wells robbed the bank and hid his sickness from investigators. January 7th, 2005. Marjorie was now ready to stand trial and plead guilty, but mentally ill to third-degree murder in Roden's death in Erie County Court, and was sentenced to 7 to 20 years in a state prison. So she's arrested. She's behind bars. March 16th, 2005, Marjorie was transferred from Mayview to the State Correctional Institution at Muncie. A documentary filmmaker named Trey Borzil-Wolleri, who was creating a new film on the Wells case, met with her and interviewed her. At the time, she was vague about the pizza bomber case. The FBI started looking into Marjorie again and investigated a storage unit once owned by her. Inside that unit, they found a letter from Marjorie to the same PNC Bank branch that Wells robbed. She was furious because the bank allowed her father to empty a family safety deposit box with some of her valuable property inside. April 20th and May 23rd, 2005, the main investigators in the Wells case, Jerry Clark and Jason Wick, so Jerry Clark's the FBI agent and Jason Wick's the ATS agent.
Okay.
They interviewed Marjorie. She spoke about Rothstein but refused to answer questions. unless they can move her closer to Erie. The FBI did arrange for a transfer. Borzarelli, the documentary filmmaker, was still interviewing her at this time, and she had mentioned that she thought it was strange that Rothstein's blue van was towed after the heist and not returned until he was cleared as a suspect. So it
So the police
disappeared
had
for-
his van.
No,
Oh.
I think Rothstein did something with it, hid it for a
Oh,
while, and then the
oh.
van magically came back in his driveway
Oh,
when he was
interesting.
cleared. So Borzarelli checked the camera footage of the home tours with Rothstein and noticed the van in his driveway. The van matched the vehicle the police saw leaving the scene of one of the scavenger clues on the day of the crime.
That was the van with the 3 people in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other clues noted by police: there were similar arrows found, so arrows written in Rothstein's garage, and it seemed to match the arrows that were written on the collarbone. So there was, as I said, there was like these clues written on the bomb itself to deceive people or the police. And then a friend of Rothstein's thought that the writing and the notes matched Rothstein's handwriting.
Handwriting, yeah.
I don't know really how you tell from that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a way. July 5th, 2005, Clark and Wick interviewed Marjorie at the state prison at Cambridge Springs. According to the FBI, she said she killed Roden to silence him in the Wells plot. And she said she never spoke in detail about his killing because she feared it would implicate her in the Wells case. In the summer of 2003, she gave Rothstein kitchen timers, integral components to the collarbone, and was a quarter of a mile from the bank robbery site when Wells was killed, so she was within the general vicinity. Marjorie first raised the possibility of immunity during the interview. She kept talking and never ended up getting a deal. She would later dispute the FBI's version of her statements. Investigators also speak to 4 different women in prison with Marjorie who claimed she said she killed Roden because he was going to reveal the bank heist plans. Inmate Kelly Michaela took many notes when speaking to Marjorie in prison. Unfortunately, they were misfiled at the time under snitch letters at the FBI.
Did they find him?
Yeah, according to the notes and according to Marjorie, Rothstein built the bomb, Stockton was involved, and Roden was linked to the Wells case. Marjorie had made the comment, "It's not like we didn't measure his neck for the collar."
Measure Wells's neck. Oh, okay.
Then we have Tom Sedgwick. He's an eyewitness. He was driving on I-79 near PNC Bank the day of the crime. He spotted a gold car driving the wrong way on the freeway. Sedgwick claimed the driver was a woman with unusual eyes. The tip never made it up the chain until September 5th, 2000.
She was driving the wrong way on the freeway? Okay.
Yeah.
That seems unusual.
And she had unusual eyes. The Erie DA called the FBI and they followed up on the tip. When asked about it, Marjorie admitted to being on the highway, but she wasn't driving the wrong way. So when America's Most Wanted airs the case, a UPS driver named Michael Thomas claims to have seen Marjorie and Rothstein at the Shell gas station using the payphone. He can't forget the large man in the bib overalls.
The tall guy. Yeah.
Tall guy. July 19th and 20th, 2005, Clark and Wick interview Stockton, Rothstein's housemate at the time. Wells was killed. They offered to drop the rape charge if he gave him the information they wanted. He said Rothstein and Marjorie were involved in the bank robbery and the bomb plot because they needed money. Okay, so then in the meantime, another name was brought into the fray. When the brother-in-law of a man named Kenneth Barnes reported him to the police, when Barnes revealed details of the Wells case to him. So there he is. August 11th, 18th, and September 13th, 2005, Clark and Wick interviewed Barnes. According to Barnes, James Roden and Marjorie fought all the time, and she would often say how she was going to kill him. She also accused Barnes of stealing $2,300 from her home. He said Marjorie solicited him to kill her father, to stop her father from spending her inheritance before Wells was killed. He said he would need $250,000 and we would need half up front. He told investigators he was only kidding. He said he did not know Brian Wells, but heard of his death. The day after the bombing, he was with Jessica Hoopsick, one of the sex workers in Wells' notebook.
Yikes.
Barnes was the critical link in the crime. Marjorie knew Rothstein and Barnes knew Wells through Hoopsick. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Barnes connected Wells to Rothstein and Marjorie. Barnes would allow sex workers to bring their business back to his house in exchange for drugs and money. Wells used to come by twice a month with Jessica for about 5 years. Wells would pay Jessica, and she would buy drugs from Barnes.
Gotcha.
When police searched Barnes's house, they found magazines about building explosive devices. So December 9th, 12th, and 14th, Barnes met with Clark and Wick. He said Marjorie, Rothstein, Stockton, Panetti. Panetti was the other pizza delivery
Oh, yeah,
driver.
the one who committed.
And Wells, they met on August 27th, 2003 to review the bank robbery plot.
Okay.
Next day, Marjorie drove over to Barnes's house and announced today is the day. He asked where Roden was because he was supposed to drive the getaway car. Marjorie told him he was sick in bed with the flu. So do you remember where Roden was at the time?
The freezer?
Yeah. So they go to the Shell station.
He's indisposed.
He's gonna make him. He was having chills.
Books.
So they go to the Shell gas station, then to Rothstein's house, and then to the TV power site to wait for Wells. Wells arrived, and placed the pizza on the trunk of Rothstein's car. They ate some of the pizza while Wells waited to be paid. Floyd Stockton brought the bomb out from the back of the building, and Wells looked terrified. He panicked and started to run. Barnes ran after him and hit him. Rothstein pulled out a gun and shot it into the air, and Marjorie and Stockton put the bomb on him while Wells was yelling, "I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this." After they got the collar bomb on him, Marjorie placed the white Guess t-shirt over him to cover the bomb. They gave Wells the notes and told him if he got caught to tell the police that some black guys forced him to do this and to use the cane gun if he got into any trouble. Barnes and Marjorie then went to the Eaton Park. That's what it's called.
Oh, it's a restaurant. Yeah, I know Eden Park.
Yeah. Do you really?
Yeah, I went to college in Pennsylvania, so it's a good
thing?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, you're Erie.
Yeah, it did.
Is it good?
It's like kind of like a Friendlies. Are Friendlies still around here? No, it's that kind of place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone else know Eaton Park?
They have like really good smiley cookies.
I was like, Eaton Park. When they're like, no, it's a legit place.
It was a legit place.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's across the street from the bank, the Eaton Park.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Barnes said he and Marjorie watched Wells through binoculars before he was killed. They left when the police arrived and returned to Rothstein's house and switched cars with him. Marjorie got back on I-79 where she drove on the wrong side of the road to get to the last scavenger hunt site.
Yeah, because she's probably panicked at that point. That's why she's driving the wrong way on I-70. That'd be like somebody driving the wrong way on 90 or 490.
Yeah.
That would be really,
Yeah.
something's clearly wrong with that driver.
Yeah. And Barnes himself said he thought the bomb was fake. Agents then visited Stockton and offered him an immunity deal if he testified against Marjorie.
Wait, say that again?
Agents then visited Stockton and
Okay.
offered him an immunity deal if he testified against Marjorie.
Okay, gotcha.
So February 10th, 2006, Wick and Clark met with Marjorie. She got upset when told of Barnes's comments and denied being with him on August 27th and 28th, 2003. She claimed Rothstein framed her. So it's all Rothstein's fault.
Yep.
February 14th, 2006, Clark and Wick met with Barnes. He got upset when told of Marjorie's denials.
For
Called
Pete's sake.
liar.
Come on.
March 21st and May 5th, 2006, federal agents searched Barnes's then residence in the 600 block of Perry Street in Erie for bomb-making components and other items. May 10th, 2006, Marjorie spoke to Wick and Clark a total of 8 times. This was the date of her last interview. Along with her personal lawyer, who encouraged her to talk, she went on a ride with Wick and Clark in Summit Township. She pointed out where she was throughout the day when Wells was killed, according to the FBI. Marjorie said that Rothstein asked her for 2 kitchen timers, but then she ended the interview. July 9th, 2007, a federal grand jury, which has been meeting in the Wells case for close to 2 years, and it was about to have its term expire, indicted Marjorie and Barnes on the felonies of armed bank robbery, conspiracy to commit armed bank robbery, and using a destructive device in a crime of violence. The grand jury named Wells and Rothstein as unindicted co-conspirators. So Wells is being named as well.
Yeah, like he was in on it.
Yes. July 7th, 2007, the U.S. Attorney's Office unsealed the indictments. Stockton was not named in the indictments due to his immunity deal. During a press conference, U.S. Attorney Mary Beth Buchanan stated, "We're not sure how much Wells knew. We know he was involved to a limited extent." Wells' family does not believe he was a willing participant. So other revelations from the indictments, Marjorie had solicited Barnes to rob a different bank in 2003.
Really?
It never made it out of the planning stages, and a month before that, she asked Barnes how to build a pipe bomb. Marjorie was mistaken that her father was wealthy. Her father's wealth was once $500,000, but it had dwindled. Marjorie supplied the 2 kitchen timers. The indictment alleges that Rothstein was the mastermind and likely the person who made the bomb for Marjorie's plan. Brian Wells mentally rehearsed his role and sat for fittings for the collar bomb, but was under the impression the bomb was fake. He was talking about the bomb a month in advance, which was corroborated by other witnesses. So this is how it was supposed to go down. Rothstein was supposed to grab the money from Wells when he exited the bank. But Rothstein panicked after customers followed him out. So this was where the money was supposed to be handed off. That was
Was Rothstein in the bank with him? Or
No, he was just out in the
he was just
parking
on, oh, okay. And he was going to go up and grab the money from Wells.
Wells
Yeah,
came
okay.
out. So when Rothstein returned to his house empty-handed, Marjorie thought he was hiding it and drove off looking for the money, which we think now is why she was spotted driving on the wrong side of the road.
Oh, okay.
James Roden was killed on August 11th, 2003, and had planned the robbery with Marjorie and the rest of the group. And for some reason, I think he threatened to go to the police with them, and that's when she got rid of him.
Okay.
July 29th, 2008, U.S. District Judge Sean McLaughlin ruled Marjorie incompetent for trial again, largely because of her bipolar disorder. He ordered her to undergo more mental health exams in the federal prison system. September 3rd, 2008, Barnes pled guilty before McLaughlin to conspiracy to commit bank robbery as well as using a destructive device during a crime of violence, both felonies. December 3rd, 2008, Barnes was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. He was 54 years old at the time. He agreed to testify against Marjorie. Now, in September 8th, 2009, Marjorie is now found to be competent to stand trial. March 2010, Marjorie had a cancerous lump removed from her neck and was later diagnosed with breast cancer. August 12th, 2010, at the court hearing, McLaughlin reviewed a physician's report that gives Marjorie 3 to 7 years to live. The prosecutor said he planned to proceed with the trial. He said he would have considered halting the trial if the medical report had given Marjorie less time to live. McLaughlin set the trial date for October 12th. So here we are now, October 12th, 2010. Remember what year this crime happened in?
2003?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like 7 years later.
So jury selection begins in Marjorie's trial. Floyd Stockton, do you remember him?
The rapist?
Yeah, the rapist, the fugitive rapist.
Who got he got an immunity
Yes.
deal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So he had 2 strokes before he was to testify at trial. He was discharged on the day jury selection started, and his doctors ruled he was not able to travel from Washington to Pennsylvania.